Let's go Chiefs! A news story recently broke that has sparked a lot of discussion among fans online. I'll tell you everything that happened here. But first, hit the like button and make sure you're subscribed to the channel to get the latest Chiefs updates. Let's get right to it. With the Chiefs sitting comfortably at 5-0, many of us were hoping for a big deal at wide receiver, especially with the injuries piling up. Well, it looks like the Chiefs are officially out of the running for star wide receiver Davante Adams. According to reports from The Athletic, the Chiefs, along with the Cowboys, Ravens, and Commanders, are no longer pursuing Adams. And honestly, it's not a huge surprise. Trades within the division are tough, and given that the Raiders would have to trade their best point guard to the defending Super Bowl champions? Yeah, not likely. Plus, the finances just don't add up. The Chiefs only have about $4.1 million in cap space, while Adams carries a hefty $12.5 million salary. Combine that with the draft capital the Raiders would like in return, and it just wasn't the right move for Kansas City. So while Adams won't be donning the red and gold this season, don't worry, Chiefs Kingdom. We're heading into the bye week undefeated, and Brett Veach is still evaluating the market for other options. Who knows what moves could be made to bolster the receiving core as the season progresses? Now, I want to hear from all of you. Do you think the Chiefs should have pushed harder for Adams? Or are you happy with the team holding steady for now? The Chiefs are coming into the bye week undefeated, but what has really stood out so far this season? The defense. That's right, our defense has been absolutely dominant, and if you've been watching closely, you know what I'm talking about. We beat the Saints 26-13, and it wasn't just about the points we put up, it was the way our defense stifled the Saints from start to finish. Chris Jones, man, what a game. He's been an anchor on the defensive line, and in Week 5, he was a nightmare for the Saints offense. He racked up 6 quarterback pressures and 2 big tackles, earning a 93.2 grade from Pro Football Focus. The guy was everywhere, forcing Derek Carr into some bad throws and really setting the tone for the entire defense. But it wasn't just Jones. The entire defensive line excelled, and you could see it in the way they shut down the Saints' running game. Alvin Kamara held to just 26 yards on 11 carries. As a team, the Saints managed just 46 rushing yards. That's incredible, and it shows how disciplined our front seven is. They were shedding blocks, filling gaps, and making it nearly impossible for New Orleans to get any rhythm on the ground. This has been a theme all season. By blocking the run, we force teams to become one-dimensional, and that's where our defense really shines. Once teams are forced to pass, Spagnuolo can turn up the pressure, and that's exactly what happened in Week 5. We blitzed 14 times, but it felt more like it because of how often we were in Carr's face. The Saints receivers? They barely had any separation, averaging just 2.8 yards per target. That's blocking coverage right there. And let's talk about third downs. The Saints just couldn't convert. We forced multiple 3-and-outs, and even when they got desperate and went for it on fourth down, our defense held strong, forcing 2 turnovers on downs. It's that ability to step up in the biggest moments that has been key for us this season. Now, after this game, the Chiefs rank in the top 5 in points allowed and total yards allowed per game. That's elite company, and it's starting to look a lot like 2023, when our defense hit its stride right before the postseason. Could we be setting ourselves up for another deep playoff run? If the defense keeps playing like this, absolutely. One player who's really starting to come into his own is Nick Bolton. After a slow start to the season, he's been on fire the last few weeks. Against the Saints, he racked up 11 tackles, and 7 of those were stops within 3 yards of scrimmage. He's been a big part of why we've been so good at stopping the run, and his ability to read plays and get into the backfield has been huge for this defense. Bolton also graded highly by PFF, with a 90.8 grade for his Week 5 performance. As our middle linebacker, his leadership and physicality are essential to keeping this defense sharp. With the bye week coming up, we have some time to rest and get healthy, but if this defense continues to play at this level, we're going to have something special this season. We've held opponents under 28 points for 26 straight games, and that's no accident. Spagnuolo has built a defense that is resilient, disciplined, and always ready to make the big play when it counts. As we get deeper into the season, with the offense still figuring things out, it's the defense that's really carrying us. And when you combine a stifling defense with a Patrick Mahomes-led offense, yeah, we're going to be a problem for anyone who gets in our way. But enough about me, what do you guys think? Is this defense the key to another Super Bowl run? Now, let's talk about what's next for the Chiefs after securing that sweet win over the New Orleans Saints. We're undefeated at 5-0, but even for the back-to-back Super Bowl champs, there's always room for improvement. Let's break down 3 key moves the Chiefs need to consider during this bye week to keep the momentum going. First up, let's talk about the running back situation. With Clyde Edwards-Helaire nearing his return from the NFI list, things are about to get crowded in that backfield. Kareem Hunt has been impressive over the last couple of weeks, racking up 102 rushing yards and a touchdown in the Saints game, and before that, 69 rushing yards against the Chargers. He's clearly earned his spot in the lineup, but that leaves a tough decision to be made between Carson Steele and Samaje Perine. Both have shown promise, but there's only so much room on the 53-man roster. Perine's stats are decent, with 91 yards from scrimmage and a touchdown in 5 games, but he's only played 27% of the offensive snaps, which is the same as Steele. And here's the kicker, if the Chiefs cut Steele, he'll likely be snapped up by another team through waivers. Perine, on the other hand, could potentially be traded for some valuable draft compensation. So, what do you think? Should the Chiefs look to make a move at running back during the bye? Next on the agenda is the wide receiver room. Just before the Week 5 matchup, there was buzz about Justin Ross or Nico Remigio getting called up to the active roster, but the Chiefs decided to stick with their current group of 5 wideouts. So, it's Xavier Worthy, Justin Watson, Juju Smith-Schuster, Mecole Hardman, and Sky Moore carrying the load, with our tight ends Travis Kelce, Noah Gray, Jared Wiley, and Jody Fortson adding extra firepower. Fortson is back in KC and ready to bring that energy to the fans. With Clyde Edwards-Helaire still sidelined, Kareem Hunt, Steele, and Perine are holding down the backfield. The question is, will the Chiefs make any changes at wide receiver or tight end after the bye? So far, they seem confident in the group they've got, but as always, injuries can shake things up, and we could see some roster shuffling as we head deeper into the season. Who do you think might step up, or do we need to bring in some extra firepower? And finally, let's talk about the defensive side of things. The Chiefs' defense has been a powerhouse so far, and the bye week is the perfect time for the front office to assess if any tweaks are necessary. Our pass rush has been solid, and the secondary is holding strong, but should we look at adding more depth, especially with a long season ahead? It's going to be interesting to see if GM Brett Veach has any moves up his sleeve to keep this defense elite. Now that we're heading into the bye, this might be one of the last games without Edwards-Helaire suited up. He's back at practice and has a 21-day window to return to the active roster, so it's only a matter of time before he's back in action. When that happens, you can expect some moves at running back. But the big question is, who's getting cut? Monday's performance against the Saints could have a big impact on those decisions, so keep an eye on that position group moving forward. All right, Chiefs Kingdom, that's it for today's update. What do you think? Should we trade one of our running backs, or is there someone else you'd rather see moved? And how about our receivers? Any changes needed there? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and let's talk about it. And of course, if you haven't already, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss any of the latest Chiefs news. We've got a long season ahead, and it's going to be one heck of a ride.